Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the High Ticket Coaching and Consultant Strategy and Growth Show. Now, if you're watching this interview anywhere else but within our private Facebook community called High Ticket Client Attraction Insider Circle, then definitely come check us out. We definitely love to have you. And that group was put together specifically for coaches, consultants, and service providers who are serious about getting up to that 6 and that 7-figure level. So if that's you, definitely come check us out. So today, I want to introduce you to one of the members of our community, Serena Goldstein. Welcome, Serena.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Awesome. You're welcome. So tell us, what do you do?
So I'm a naturopathic doctor in New York City. So as a naturopathic doctor, it's about 4 to 5 years of naturopathic school. The first 2 years is very similar to conventional medicine. Then the next 2 to 3 is all the ologies, and then of course nutrition, herbs, homeopathy, physical medicine, minor surgery. In other words, many modalities plus all the conventional medicine and pharmaceuticals. So it's like I'm right in the middle of being able to really quarterback, navigate, speak a lot of different languages. And then personally, I also have a large background in psychology as well. So, really working with people on the not just eat this, do this, take that, but
Mhm.
how do we make it part of your lifestyle and making, seeing you as the individual.
Yeah. How did you call it? What type of you said is it neopathic, like
Naturopathic.
naturopathic?
Yeah.
Uh Now, yeah, this is the first time I'm hearing this word, okay? So
Awesome.
yes. So what got you interested in that field?
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I was a competitive gymnast. I played the trombone. I had all these different things going on. And when I injured my elbow in gymnastics, I started wondering like why and how this happened, because all of a sudden no more extracurriculars. And that was really hard for a 15-year-old to handle. Like, what do you mean just school? So I started reading young Erickson and Freud to figure out what was going on psychologically, because I went from being really happy to, well, not so much. Fast forward to eventually wanting to see a therapist. I found one who I loved. I saw her for a year and a half. She changed my life and inspired me to become a healer. So I wanted to give back the same healing that she gave to me. And she had a PhD, so I had my eyes locked on doctorate, like
Mhm.
doctor, to some level. So when I started college, I was a psychology major, and then I was a Japanese minor. So I tested into Japanese too in college. Didn't work out. One of my close friends said, "Why don't you go pre-med?" So I thought of psychiatry. But for some conventional medicine, though, it just seemed very rigid. And at the
Mhm.
end of the day, I do have a very creative spirit, and I love knowing lots of different things. But you know what? If this is how I can still help people, so be it. When I started the pre-med prerequisites in that spring of freshman year, a month later, the teacher took us to a naturopathic school. And I walked in, and all of a sudden, I see doctor as teacher using nature to heal. Where my visits with people are an hour, especially in the beginning. And oh my God, I get to learn all natural, all conventional, and use my psychology background. I was sold. And it
Mhm.
was love at first sight from there.
Yeah. Awesome. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. And it's so exciting when you find that your passion, right? When you just find a thing that you just know, okay, that's just what I meant to be doing, right?
Yeah. And it hit. And especially I think that was around the time, because it was mid 2000s, that people were really starting now to question, wait, I think there's more to health than just a pill, just a drug, or just a supplement. There's a bigger picture. And this medicine just really is the best tool, and the breadth and depth that it can offer in helping people get the answers that they need.
Hmm. Awesome. So in essence, I guess the what would you say is the most fulfilling part out of what you do?
Teaching my patients how to listen to their body, really embracing that doctor as teacher role.
Hmm.
Usually when they come in, it can be anything from we're doing a lot do tend to be generally healthy, but they want to understand, what does tuning up mean? Like where I can tighten the ranges on their blood work, or like tweak their diet a little bit, maybe, get them sleeping a little better. What does that optimal health to? Oh my God, here's my list of medications, diagnoses, stacks of blood work, so on and so forth. And then we get to put things in perspective, and they get to understand it. And I get to break it down for them in such a way where then they feel so good and then really empowered. And
Mhm.
then how can they tune in? Like maybe a food that's good for them isn't good for someone else. And here's how their body responds to it. Sometimes it's bloating, sometimes it's a headache, but we'll figure it out. And so
Mhm.
to really bring all of that energy back in, and then having them say, well, and here's what I discovered this week. And then we'll talk more. So
Yeah.
seeing
Awesome.
them so involved.
Mhm. Now, is your business, is it virtual? Is it offline? How do you work with your clients?
So actually, I mean, well, especially now it is virtual. But when I started, because I do a lot of writing, speaking, and so forth, even when I first started, I was doing a lot of telemedicine as well.
What's
And
that? Telemedicine? What is telemedicine?
well, through Zoom, FaceTime, I have phone calls with patients. I know there are also HIPAA compliant ones as well,
Mhm.
where I may use, or, at least to have access to.
Yeah.
But I do have an office as well, right by Grand Central in New York City.
Mhm.
So there are many different ways to work with people. And especially now, as I joke, like even the busy New Yorkers, because I have patients even beyond New York, even the busy New Yorkers are like, yeah, no, just call me. We're working from home today.
Mhm. Love that. Love that.
Works all around.
Yeah. So in essence, so with your business, have you always been a natural just entrepreneur? Have you always been like business mindset and just saying, let me go create something? Is that your personality?
Very much so. I'd say it's funny. My mom reminded me she always had an image of me sitting at the edge of our pool at our country house.
Mhm.
Oh my God, 25 plus years ago. And I wouldn't get in the pool until I was ready, because I was just scoping everything out. But eventually, when I got in the pool, I was also a competitive swimmer. And I
Mhm.
got all my lifeguarding certifications before I was a teenager. So,
Mhm.
in that, knowing what to do and when, having that gut instinct.
Mhm.
And and then on the other side, my dad also started his own business, and he also just seemed really happy with his life and really fulfilled. So add that on top of, wow, okay, so own your own business, be really happy. Okay, cool. I'll do that when I grow up. And I was like 8 years old when I said that too. So
Uh-huh.
having the creative work from the heart, it's it's the most fulfilling. It's more than a job, it's who I am.
Mhm.
And
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's so powerful when you could get to the place where you just like on purpose, right? To the place where you're just like you just know you're doing what you love and you know that's the right thing you're doing. So as you said, it's not really a job, right? It's you on purpose, right?
that's what my dad always taught me. He just
Mm-hmm.
instilled it in me, like, if you do what you love, you'll never have to work a day in your life. Because
Mm-hmm.
that said, of course I've had frustrating times in business. Where when I graduated medical school, I'm trained as a full primary care. However, in drawing blood, all that, in many states, I'm more of a consultant.
Mm-hmm.
But in the overarching theme, it's the love of what I'm doing and the fact that I get to create, or I can go to different states, or the flexibility and then be able to write and speak, considering this knowledge is so
Mm-hmm.
needed. And you um, letting it be from the soul
Mm-hmm.
can really have a lot of leeway.
Yeah, yeah, powerful stuff, powerful stuff. So when you think about in terms of where you're headed right now, in terms of just your journey, what's that big picture vision? What's that vision that you see currently?
I would love to be flown around the world speaking at conferences, creating global change. The first words out of my mouth when after it's like, all right, go to naturopathic school. Oh my God, there's a medicine. Because also, my mom cooked like 99% of the time. So I always kind of knew that nutrition, oh, wait, maybe what we put in ourselves is kind of important too.
Hmm.
And I remember thinking, wow, I want to be flown around the world speaking at conferences, that there's no magic pill. Like the thought of empowering people to really understand themselves on multiple levels, because that was, what I was afforded, when I had seen the therapist. That was healing, yes, from the more mental, emotional, but I certainly had my own a holistic journey throughout medical school as well.
Hmm.
So that was always my big message, to help change the face of healthcare, to change, the whole pill for an ill, um, knowing that there's a greater mission besides just what I do. So
Hmm.
whether that manifests through speaking, sharing what I do with audiences, practicing, whatever creations are yet to be in the making,
Hmm.
and then knowing I can also live wherever in the world, wherever my heart takes me next.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. Just the freedom, right? Just having all the freedom you need, just virtually, just based on the way you run your business, right, and how it's structured and stuff like that. So my question now becomes, in essence, when you really think about your clients, right? So, and you said you work with them in two settings, right? Both offline and in virtual settings. Is that right?
So both in an office and virtual.
Yeah, awesome. So, which one do you enjoy a certain one, or is it just based on it just determines if you had to pick, if you had to choose, what would you choose?
Um, it's funny, to be honest. Sometimes it depends on my mood.
Hmm.
And sometimes it depends on the patient. There are some where I've had for years where, to be honest, I could just get a sense of who they are and what's happening on the phone. Actually, I say I can do that with a lot of my patients. I say I always, if possible, like seeing them in person first. But, because in person is just going to be a different energy. But on the other hand, I still feel like we can glean so much regardless, because the work I do with people is going very deep.
Hmm.
So it's like, well, we're going to get there either way, in person or virtual. We'll
Hmm.
make it happen.
Yeah. Now, in terms of where you get your, are you big into reading books, listening to podcasts? How do you get your news sources?
I will turn out books.
Mm-hmm. What,
Oh,
and is it
all day
Kindle
long.
books, digital books, physical books? What time?
Well, nowadays it's, virtual. So I have a membership at the library, because that's the thing. I would need to literally buy a mansion if I had to own every book that I
Mhm.
would read or want to read,
Yeah.
as I see what's behind you. And I'm like, ooh, I'd like to, get my hands on some of those. No, but actually now, because I do read a lot of psychology, mindset, business, then of course moving into like psychology. I do love astrology as well. I do have a wide range of interests, especially from the nonfiction side. So, nowadays I do read, all the ebooks. So, and I will say I usually read multiple ones at a time, but well, before all this,
Hmm.
I would just have stacks yeah, on the night tables. So.
Yeah, yeah. Reading is one of those a pretty powerful thing as well, too, right? So personal development. It's one of those places where there's so much wisdom in books. It's amazing um, how someone could take their entire life, some like could condense the entire everything they've lived and condense it into a book where they could just share it and say, hey, here's what I've learned. Here's the best of what I've got, and just share it. And it's just so powerful. with today, because I know that as we grow, one of the biggest missing pieces for most individuals is just the gap of knowledge, right? So there's things we want to do, there's all these different things we want, and just the fact that knowing that there's someone else who has taken, whether it's their story or taken how they've done something amazing and sharing it um, with us is just a pretty powerful thing, right?
And you bring up an interesting point because, as I like how we all have things go on in our life, and it's not just about writing a book just to, or I guess depending on the person, is where you've moved through the experience. So then in the book, it comes out as they've also synthesized it in their mind to the point where imagine if then it could inspire you to then, okay, what can I think after this?
Hmm.
I just finished, going through, use the Big Fear, I think, by Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. And she's like, if I'm writing this self-help book,
Hmm.
it's not because I'm wanting to help other people, because then we can get caught in that analysis paralysis. But once again, we're going from the heart where it's authentic, and you're just putting it out there because that's what your soul wants. She's like, I wrote this book as my own therapy.
Hmm.
I was like, that's brilliant. Like, because that means you're not bogged down by, "Oh, is this going to be a bestseller?" All of a sudden, all those expectations go away, and the book that you write from your experiences become more of an energy boost,
Hmm.
and where people can feel that and then
Yeah.
engage their own. So.
Yeah, love that, love that. Hey, but we're kind of running a little bit short on time, but what's the best way if someone wanted to reach out? What is the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah, so I do offer complimentary 30-minute phone calls, as I'd love to hear what's going on and see how I could best be of help. You
Hmm.
can contact me on my website, www.drserenagoldstein.com. I am also all over social media. You could find me on Facebook and Instagram at drserenag.
Awesome, love it. Well, hey, thank you so much. And guys, all the links Serena shared with us here today, they'll be either right above or below this video. So if you want to connect, definitely click on them and be sure to follow her, see what she's got going on. So Serena, hey, thank you so much for making the time to be here today. Really appreciate it. Do you have any final thoughts before we end?
I think we've covered a lot of good stuff, and it's really all about turning inwards right now and really taking care of ourselves. The more we give to ourselves, having that self love, that's what's going to help change not just our world, but the world around us.
Hmm. Awesome. Well, hey, love it. Thank you again, and we'll talk soon.
All right, sounds good.
Awesome.